Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you know in the beginning, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler heavy. Hey, what's going on, bosses? Happy New Year's, and first off, right off the bat, I just want to say rest in peace to James Avery. He passed away on New Year's Eve. If you don't know who James Avery is, he's the actor that portrayed Uncle Phil in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hence, the little dance intro, which was showcased on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So this vlog's topic is going to be about the superior Spider-Man. And for this vlog, I'm not giving away one, not two, but 3 codes for the superior Spider-Man digital copy, which can be redeemed at marvel.com.
The Three Amigos!
Hey everybody, look at me, I'm the superior Spider-Man! So yeah, the topic of the superior Spider-Man is pretty much split. The people who love it, and the people who hate it, hate it. The writer that came up with the idea, Dan Slott, receives death threats, and with death threats you can't, even if it's a joke, you kind of have to take them seriously. I think that's going overboard, just because like you kill the character, you want to like do physical harm to the person that came up with the idea. Like, I can imagine people who aren't reading comics watching the Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer, and they're like, oh, I want to see what Peter is up to, and they pick up Spider-Man and they're like, read the first page with the origin. They're like, what? Spider-Man's dead? I mean, it'd be a complete surprise. This is a basic gist of it. They basically pull a Freaky Friday on Doc Ock and Spider-Man. They switch places.
Those aren't mine. That's definitely not mine.
Freaky Friday. So they switch bodies, and Peter dies in Doc Ock's body, and Doc Ock lives in Spider-Man's body, or Peter Parker's body. Before Peter dies, he lets Doc Ock live through every single one of Peter Parker's memories. And it's like the saying goes, you don't know a person until you walk a mile in his shoes. So basically, he lets Doc Ock walk through Peter's life. That kind of changes Doc Ock's heart, because, you know, he was a villain. But after going through what Peter went through, he realizes he's going to become Spider-Man. But not only is he going to become Spider-Man, he's going to become a far superior Spider-Man than Peter Parker. And like I said before, people hate the idea that Peter Parker is dead. But you have to acknowledge that that idea that Dan Slott came up with is fresh. Like, it's never been done. Like, I'm pretty sure there's mind swaps that's been done, but never long term like this. And the idea is one of the most original ideas. That's okay. If you tried reading Superior Spider-Man, you didn't like it, then that's fine. You didn't like it. It's not your taste. I'm not going to mention which comic books that are considered classics that I don't like. I think the idea, the thing is with those comic books, it's 2 series. I think the ideas are really great. I just don't like the execution of it, but people love it. Yeah, one of them. One comic book series, I remember I saw a commercial for it on TV. That's crazy. A comic book commercial on TV. So going back to the Superior Spider-Man. But there are people out there that won't even try reading it just because of the fact that Peter Parker is dead. Before we get into I did a little analysis of why I think people don't like the fact that Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man. But before we get into that, let's go back into the origin of Spider-Man. His first appearance was in Amazing Fantasy number 15. For those that don't remember that comic book, it was kind of like a Twilight Zone / horror comic book. And actually, Spider-Man's origin story, I consider it to be kind of like a horror story, or more like a Twilight Zone episode kind of story. If you guys don't remember, let me refresh your memory. It was a collection of short stories in the Amazing Fantasy number 15. I believe there's 4 stories, the origin of Spider-Man being one of them, which I consider Spider-Man's origin to be the best superhero origin of all time. So, okay. The first story was about a man who warned boats that there was an island so they wouldn't crash into it, and he would ring this bell. But the island had a volcano and it was going to destroy everything. But the guy who rang the bell needed to warn the ships. That was his duty, because even if everyone left the island, he felt like that was his duty. So he goes up to the bell tower, and as lava and fire is about to get him, it's assumed that he went to heaven, but you just see a light and it takes him up to the sky, kind of like a Twilight Zone episode. The second story dealt with a man who was being chased by the cops. He hides in a museum, and a mummy tells him he'll hide him for him. So the man, he listens to the mummy, and he's put in this tomb, and when the tomb opens, he's in Egypt, and he becomes a slave building the pyramids, kind of like a Twilight Zone twist. The third story dealt with, there was a warning about an alien that crash landed, and a husband's concerned for his wife because of the alien. But you find out at the end, the twist is they're actually the aliens and the cops are onto them. And well, actually, the fourth story is Spider-Man's story is actually the first story, and there's a part where a robber escapes, and Spider-Man does nothing. He just lets him go. And the cops like, you could have stopped him. Why'd you just let him go? And Spider-Man said, that's not my problem. But the twist, the Twilight Zone twist to Spider-Man's origin was he finds out that the person that he let go was actually the killer of his Uncle Ben. It's kind of, his origin story I consider is one of the best. It's so eerie is because he had a chance of preventing his tragic origin story. Like, unlike, other superheroes where their family's gunned down and they didn't have a chance to prevent it, Spider-Man actually had a chance to prevent it. I consider one of the best origin stories ever. I think one of the main reasons why people are mad about the fact that Peter Parker is dead is because he's such a likable character. Peter Parker was us, so we could kind of relate to him. He was a geek, bullied in school, and so to kill him off, it was kind of like killing a representation of us. What's eerie about Peter is there's a panel where people are bullying him, and he says something like, I'll show them. That, and Dan Slott points out, that's something that a hero doesn't say. That is kind of eerie, especially with the whole bullying and the school shootings. Like, it kind of reminded me of the movie Chronicle, if you don't know. One of the main characters, he develops a power, but he gets bullied, and he pretty much just wrecks shit, for being bullied. And that kind of reminded me, like Dan Slott pointed out, that's not something a hero would say. And who knows how he would have turned out if the tragedy of Uncle Ben didn't happen. And so, yeah, I think one of the main reasons is Peter Parker was us, and to kill him off is like killing a part of us. Let's kind of retract and go to Dr. Octopus's origin. He first appeared in issue number 3 of The Amazing Spider-Man. And like Peter, Doc Ock was bullied too, but Doc Ock was bullied by his peers. People that, so he kind of got it worse. He got bullied by fellow nerds. And he was created because there wasn't a challenge to Spider-Man. He could take down villains easily. And Doc Ock, there's this cool panel where he grabs his Spider-Man's arms and legs, and he just slaps him. And like, Spider-Man, this is his first loss, I believe, and he's just so devastated by it. Like he quits being a superhero. I mean, after that one slap, Spider-Man's like, I admit defeat, and he quits being a superhero after just being beaten once. I think he does come back after hearing a lecture from Johnny Storm, which kind of motivates him, and he does defeat Dr. Octopus. But that's one of many, many, many battles that Doc Ock and Spider-Man have. But Peter doesn't actually die. His subconscious is actually in Doc Ock's mind. But there's this epic battle that Doc Ock has with Peter Parker. Doc Ock crushes Peter Parker, and he doesn't, towards the end, Peter Parker doesn't remember who he is. The reason why I think people don't like the fact that Doc Ock is Peter Parker is because Doc Ock is kind of cheesy. Like, he's like this dorky looking villain. He's not cool. He has a bowl haircut, glasses. I mean, seriously, what's wrong with bowl haircuts, man? Bowl haircut discrimination. Bowl haircut discrimination. Like, I feel like if Flash Thompson or Kraven, I just feel that Venom, Flash Thompson, Green Goblin, mind swapped with Peter Parker, people would be more okay with it. There would be some people that still hate it, but Doc Ock is pretty cheesy looking. I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like him. Like, the only person cheesier looking than Doc Ock is the Vulture. There's a scene that Doc Ock is replaying every memory that he had with Mary Jane Watson, and it's kind of disturbing because you see him with his bowl haircut and making out with Mary Jane. Third reason why Doc Ock is the opposite of Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Like, Doc Ock will kill. Fans have a big problem with that. Spider-Man doesn't kill. But you don't see these same fans giving flack to the Punisher. The Punisher constantly kills people. But you don't see them. Oh, he's the Punisher. Let him have his way. Who's gonna stop him? No one's gonna talk about his white go-go boots. But Punisher kills. But I don't see people complaining about that. I do understand the fact that Spider-Man is different from Punisher, but if you're gonna have a problem with Doc Ock killing people, being an anti-hero, these same people should also have a problem with Punisher killing people. And so how does this all tie up with New Year's and Superior Spider-Man? My thoughts on Superior Spider-Man? I don't consider it to be great, but it's a pretty good book, solid book. And I think the message that the Superior Spider-Man is trying to say is Doc Ock is trying to better himself. And with the theme with New Year's, while people are making resolutions, I think you should become a superior version of yourself and just constantly improve upon yourself. And I think that's the main message that Dan Slott is trying to bring out in Superior Spider-Man. People don't commend the fact that Doc Ock is trying to become better, but they highlight the fact that Peter Parker is dead. So what are some of your New Year's resolutions? I know one of mine is trying to cut back on my pull list, but I don't see that happening. So stick with your New Year's resolutions and become the superior version of yourself. Until next time, peace out, bosses.